Good evening, friends. This side Rahul Magan here is a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting Group, and also a venture capitalist. Today, on 3rd of June 2019, we are shooting a very fantastic video which is about the Interbank desk. So how the Interbank desk of a G7 bank, which are top banks like Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan Chase, Standard Chartered, HSBC, how exactly they work. Now, before shooting this video, I would like to take few indemnification. The indemnification in the fact that what we are presenting today, exactly that how this interbank desk actually work, this might not be relevant to any Indian banks we have, which includes ICICI Bank, which include Axis Bank, which include Yes Bank, which include all the so-called 29 and 30 public sector concerns of India. None of the Indian banks is closer to what we are talking today. None of the Indian banks, which includes Yes Bank as well. And unfortunately, we do not see any efforts being taken up by these banks in the current scenario whereby they wanted to reach at that level. And more importantly, we also need to appreciate that such kind of architecture which you can see at the back and which I'm going to explain, it's a almost 30-35 minutes video, whereby such architectures requires years of working. So basically you need at least one generation to holistically dedicate their entire life on building up that architecture. So example, JP Morgan. When I started my career in 2007 in the Treasury, I was always in the dilemma that JP Morgan is actually a name which went to a bank. So bank chose a name, but later on I got to know, no, I was wrong. JP Morgan actually was the name of the person who founded the bank. Like Honda was the surname of the person who founded the company, the automobile company Honda. So it requires one generation of effort to reach to that level, and whatever we are presenting is not comprehensive in nature. The reason being, if I'm going to have the Goldman Sachs here, like GS, I'm going to have JP Morgan Chase, then their interbank architectures differ, because we need to appreciate that every G7 bank of the globe have a different interbank architecture, and that has to be a reality. There is nothing wrong in that. We need to appreciate that. So with this, we are starting this video. Now before starting this video, I know there are many people in certain countries, those who do not like this video. The reason being, they tend to feel that we are talking at a very higher level. But are we worried? Never. Do not. Let's start. Okay. Now, first of all, we need to appreciate that the bank is what? Now, bank is an aggregator. Now, bank is not an institution. Bank is not running for profit on paper, but ideally banks run for profit. Now what happens? Bank is an aggregator. Now aggregator has to be holistically defined as per lexical words. Lexical stands for dictionary words. Now aggregator means like a postman. What a postman job. Now nowadays it's being done by the machines, but go to say 60 years back, 70 years back, and go to any postmaster department of US, India, or any country, where what happened? You went to the post office, you drop your letter. I wanted to give to Texas, I wanted to give to Philadelphia. There would be some department. That department is going to be manually scrutinizing. Oh, it go to Texas, it go to Philadelphia, it go to that. It is going to be manually scrutinizing. Now, even 67, 70 years before, what used to happen? A letter of Texas wrongly went to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia letter wrongly went to Texas. But now everything is done by the machine, so these kind of mistakes are very, very small. Even we know that Amazon, who is now basically bringing the robotics as far as the product basically delivery is concerned, the packing department is concerned. But we are not here discussing that. We are here discussing the meaning of the aggregator. So bank is an aggregator in the sense of interbank platform. They divide the client into two parts. Now that's very simple. There is no hardcore rocket science which is required on how they are devising. So they are devising their client into two parts, which is export lobby and which is import lobby. Straight. Export lobby is known as accumulation of the sell side trades, and import lobby is known as accumulation of the buy side trades. Few examples which we quoted, if these are only for the sake of examples. Treasury Consulting is not saying that they are actually dealing with that bank or they are not dealing with that bank. It's only for the sake of example to make the videos live. Simple. And now onwards, we're going to have our own name in the videos also. Because anyways, Treasury Consulting is growing at a faster pace and joining the league of big companies. So our name should also come. So we have Google, Apple, Microsoft, Cognizant, Facebook, Treasury Consulting, our name as Cognizant, Accenture, Sapient. The board is small, but these are all the exporters. We are also an exporter, right? Earning in dollars, although the operating cost is in Indian rupee. These all are export lobby. Import lobby, ExxonMobil, China Mobile, PetroChina, Petrobras, Venezuela, Samsung, HTC. Although Samsung is little bit, I would say, having an interpretation issue, because Samsung is a kind of company who is both importer and exporter. Like when it comes to their telecommunication unit, the mobile phones which they are making, they are exporter and importer both. When it comes to their engineering setup, I don't know how many people know that Burj Khalifa was made by Samsung. It is importer and exporter both. So Samsung is predominantly exporter and importer both, but considering their importing requirements, whatever the understanding we have in the market, so we have kept Samsung deliberately in the import side. Although that doesn't mean that the Samsung do not have any exposure on the export side. This is wrong. Samsung do have exposure on the export side. Then HTC. Again repeat, we have kept the space in between. This is bank divide your client into two parts. One is the export lobby, one is the import lobby. Now before moving further, we need to appreciate that there are banks, like in English we have a word called USP, unique selling proposition. There are banks, those who have unique selling proposition, like DBS. Development Bank of Singapore, India is having unique selling proposition of import side. They have a very strong import side. While if you talk about Chase India, they have a very strong export side. Standard Chartered, mix. When you talk about GS, no words. I don't think there is nothing which they do not have, right? They have everything in place. So every bank is having their USP in place. Like DBS India, I repeat, is import side. JP Morgan Chase export side. Standard Chartered, mix. GS, they cover almost everything. So similarly, they define the clients into two parts: accumulation of sell side trade, accumulation of the buy side trade. The first question which comes to the mind of the people is that how they accumulate the trade. Actually, accumulation is that, suppose it is roughly 7 p.m. today, which is starting the video. Suppose it is 9 a.m. and bank desks start calling the calls. So they have a system wherein they start aggregating. So sell side, buy side, and somebody who's going to knock it off. Although different banks have different kind of systems in that regards, which we're going to elaborate once you reach here. So these all are very tactical topics, cannot be explained in one video. Ultimately, accumulation is that this sell side and buy side has to be in sync. This sell side, buy side has to be in sync, and net has to be zero. Has to be zero, but that doesn't mean it is always zero. There are times when the bank, in days, consecutive days, banks never be able to reach the sell and buy side at a zero level. It happens. It's market. You're not a market maker. You are a market taker. Goldman Sachs is not the market maker. They know that it is Chase, Standard Chartered, DBS, Barclays, UBS, HSBC, ANZ, Westpac. While Westpac is also not a market maker. They have Goldman Sachs, Standard Chartered, HSBC. So no one is a market maker unless you are entering into a transaction and the size of the transaction, which in our parlance is known as notional. The notional of the transaction is so high that you are able to influence the market. So example, if DBS India will come in Indian market and having a trade of $500 million, suppose today it is 9 a.m. It is 3rd of June, which is 3rd of June, it is 9 a.m. and say at 9:30 a.m. DBS coming up in the market and asking for a quote of $500 million in the interbank market. I'm damn sure that the import premiums will go up substantially for across tenors. From overnight till I would say 1 year, which is a quote you have on the Reuters, the premiums will go up. Take it alternatively. Chase is coming India. Chase is coming in Indian market. JP Morgan Chase India Mumbai, and they wanted to sell $800 million for today. Now this would substantially reduce the premiums. So it depends. Sometimes you are a market maker, but not every time. GS, Goldman Sachs is more or less a market maker in the transaction, but in US, but not across the globe. So everyone, there is no bank which we have who is actually a market maker worldwide or who is a market taker worldwide. At every point of time, sometimes you are market maker, sometimes you are market taker, but we need to understand that every bank over the period developed a USP, unique selling proposition. And for Goldman Sachs, DBS, JP Morgan Chase, Standard Chartered, ANZ, Westpac, HSBC, Bank of America, Barclays, the list is pretty long. Everyone having their own USP, and I think nothing wrong with that. You should have your USP in place. Now the first confusion. If you are a corporate, let us take two as a sample. Let us take Facebook here and let us take ExxonMobil here. Facebook is an exporter, we know. They are generating a very good revenue in the internet marketing and which is in foreign currency. While on the contrary, the ExxonMobil is a leading petrochemical producer of the globe and based out US. So ExxonMobil is Aramco of US. Like Saudi government always proud of Aramco, US government always proud of ExxonMobil, right? So they are the leading importers, they are amongst the leading exporters. Now, when they give a call, let me have a phone. So when you pick out the phone and you dial some number, let me, without quoting the name of the bank number, let's say you dial a number 022 and whatever number, I'm not saying any number. So you dial a number, a ring comes. Now people believe that this ring is actually a ring to a trader. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. This ring is not to a trader. The first level of defense, LOD, or the first level of connect, LOC, is actually the sales desk. And let it be any bank. BNP, ANZ, Westpac, JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, National Bank of Australia, HSBC, take it any bank. The first level of contact is always the sales desk. I have not kept any name so that no one feel bad. I have given a very generous name, which is SD, sales desk. Sales desk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that doesn't mean that you have 6 different desks. There is only one desk which is a sales desk. So in very small parlance, you are going to New York and you are entering into the hotel Grand Hyatt, okay, in New York. All of a sudden you enter, you find a concierge, you find a reception, okay, and they will help you. Now, did you ever saw reception in any 7-star hotel? Any 7-star hotel, Grand Hyatt, Lee Meridian, all the big chains like JW Marriott, like Radisson and all, wherein at reception you have only one lady or a gentleman. It never happens. The top hotelier chains, the top hospitality chains, if you enter at the Grand Hyatt or JW Marriott of India, or JW Marriott of New York, or JW Marriott of China, or anywhere, you would always have 5 to 6 people at the reception. You never have 1 people at the reception because it's a 7-star hospitality chain. But that is a similar thing which we have in the FX. Now assume you enter into the JW Marriott and there are 6 different desks. It's an idiocy. Reception 1, reception 2, reception 3. Now what is reception 1? If you want a new card. Reception 2, if you wanted to check out. Reception 3, you lost your card. Reception 4, there is some housekeeping service. Reception 5, no. The client, the guest would go mad. Boss, what is this? I need one reception. Similarly, by writing SD1, SD2, SD3, SD4, SD5 and SD6, and the list is pretty long, you have a one desk or a one room wherein these 6 or 7 people or 8 people, or depends upon the business which they generate, they sit. And they sit together. But the USP, the unique selling proposition, is that they have different roles and responsibility to play. Now this gentleman or a lady knows his role or her role, similarly all. They are the first line of contact, they take your call and they will give you the price. Now how they give you the price? How they give you the price? Are they market maker? We don't know. Are they a market taker? We don't know. They each, now that's again depend. That's again depend. So let me give you again an example of hotel. If you enter into a 7-star hotel, with due respect and no offense to 3-star hotels, you would get to know the dress they're wearing. The reception people are wearing is very good, diligent, neat, clean, pressed, everything. Why? Hotel can afford that dress. If you enter into the 3-star hotel, you will not get that level of hospitality. If you enter into the 1-star hotel, hospitality is definitely not required. It's a 1-star hotel. As simple as that. Similarly, when it comes to the G7 bank, each sales desk is equipped with both Reuters and Bloomberg. Because bank is pretty big, bank can take the cost. For bank, $24,000, $25,000 of the cost of the Bloomberg for the 1 year, 1 person license is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. They make this from one deal. So every salesperson is equipped with Reuters, Bloomberg. That is why you would be surprised to know that I have kept Reuters 6 different times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these are the 6 people which we have. Each person is equipped with both Reuters and Bloomberg. And we need to appreciate that each person have their individual login IDs to enter to Reuters and Bloomberg. So example, this is a gentleman who would have his ID, whatever, xyz@gs.com. And he is going to entering into the Reuters or Bloomberg, whatever. They have an individual license of Reuters and Bloomberg which they can use on their any of the basically any of the electric device, any of the communication device. Now here the game starts. Then comes the person who gives the price, who knows the FX, and he is known as the trader. There are 4 sets of traders we have in G7 banks, and in big banks like GS, Goldman Sachs, GS, Chase, Standard Chartered, HSBC, we have sub traders also. Now the reason for sub traders is not that the trader do not have a holistic understanding of the product. The reason is that the volume of the data, the volume of the trades which is coming is too high, and it's next to impossible for an individual to handle that volume. To handle that volume, they need the people, those who would be able to take that volume. And trust me that in the interbank market, if you're not hitting in 1 second, 2 seconds, maximum 3 seconds, then there is a cost to a bank. And that cost, a corporate do not count, but a bank do count. So I take just a small break here. In a corporate treasury, you do the right deal or you do not do the right deal, it doesn't make a difference until you are a corporate treasury of Reliance, wherein your bonus depends upon the profit you are generating for the Reliance. On the contrary, in the bank, how fast you hitting the interbank, this decides your bonus. And how much profit you are making to the bank, this decides your bonus. And that is what something which is very important. Henceforth, the traders are divided into 4 parts, but we have sub traders also. Can I have one trader in Goldman Sachs who can handle one product? He would be mad. He really would be mad. Because Goldman Sachs holds $40 trillion of derivative. Boss, he would really be mad if he's going to handle all. He needs a complete team to handle that. So I have divided into 4 sets. So one is the deliverable FX forwards. Deliberately I have kept deliverable in front of all trading desks, because since 2007, except India, every country know that there are 2 forms of derivatives we have across the globe. Number 1 is a deliverable, number 2 is a non-deliverable. But I will give you an example. To take a break, I think 2 days ago, 3 days ago, once I returned from Singapore, I think on 26th of May I returned to Singapore. 28th I went to ASSOCHAM, Association of Chamber of Commerce. I think that's the right definition. And there was a meeting on the Bond Council, and wherein I met one of the person who was on the other side of the table. He was a trader in some bank. I cannot tell the name of the bank, but I have given you ample of hints, you know. During discussion, what did happen? During discussion, what did happen that I raised a point that Indian Treasury Department, the Treasury people in India, are holistically not clear about what is deliverable and non-deliverable trade. And trust me, on 3rd of June 2019 at 7:50 p.m. in the evening, the reply I got from the person who having white hair in and claims that he worked in one of the G7 banks said that the Kotak Bank, the Yes Bank, the ICICI Bank and the Axis Bank knows how non-deliverable forward works. I would like to ask 3 questions here. What point I raised? Non-deliverable. Did I say non-deliverable forward? Once you go to the shopping mall, is it shopping mall is only selling the t-shirts? They're not selling anything? Tell me, in a shopping mall you get everything except airplane. Did I say non-deliverable forward? Do you think, my first question, and I'm going to ask few questions later on. Do you think that the Kotak, the Yes Bank, the ICICI, the Axis and the last one, whatever, the so-called Indian banks, their treasury sales people know how non-deliverable product work? If you think yes, give me a call and you know my number. And when I say non-deliverable, I'm saying non-deliverable forward, non-deliverable options, non-deliverable swaps, non-deliverable IRS, non-deliverable callable bonds, non-deliverable everything, the complete family. Give me a call. The same reply I gave to that person in front of 25 people in SHM on 28th May 2019 at 6:30 p.m. in the evening, plus minus 10 minutes. And this person was literally out of the mind, because now in front of 25 people, those who used to treat him the god, they got to know that this person knows nothing. And he was literally out of the mind. He was saying whatever he wanted to say. This is the knowledge of Indian treasurer. And they are the those who are deciding your career. I am very happy that your career is in safe hands. Definitely safe hands. Because even today you don't know about non-deliverable, and even after 20 years you will never know about the non-deliverable. I am happy your career is in safe hands. Don't worry. Because I make this video for the class, not for the mass. I have deliverable FX forwards, deliverable FX options, deliverable IRS structures, deliverable energy trades. 4. I repeat, deliverable FX forwards, deliverable FX options, deliverable IRS stands for interest rate swaps, or you can say that some people call this as interest rate derivatives also. And you have deliverable energy trades. Now deliverable FX forwards is further divided into 3 parts, which is STFX, short term forward, medium term forward, long term forward. While FX option is divided into plain vanilla, cost reduction structures, payoff and structured option. I'm not here telling you whether it's a Seagull, straddle, touch options, European digital options, knock-in, knockout option, average options, forward-looking options, forward start options, because I know that these things will never implement in India even after 200 years. Reserve Bank of India will never allow these structures in India even after 200 years, and that is what I am giving you in writing right now. You dislike it, that's your problem, but that is the reality. Options, interest rate swap structures, energy trades. IRS structures divided into cross currency IRS, overnight index swaps, principal only swaps, coupon only swaps. While the deliverable energy trades, where we are entering into the Saudi business, which is Saudi Arabia next year in 2020, it generally divides into 4 or 5 parts. In the interest of the space and everything, I have mentioned the petrol derivatives, gas derivatives, LNG derivatives and electricity derivatives. To cut the long discussion short, we have 2 lobbies. We have sales desk, They all are equipped with Reuters and Bloomberg. We have the traders. Traders are FX forwards, FX options, IRS, and energy trades. FX forwards are divided into three: STFX, MTFX, LTFX, so as FX options, IRS, and energy trades divide. And in this you have sub traders, and I need not to repeat that these all traders have their individual Reuters and Bloomberg, and with their Reuters and Bloomberg code. Now the Reuters code is of 4-digit. Now once they enter into the market and take a trade, they need to put that digit. So example, Singapore, Standard Chartered Singapore. Standard Chartered Singapore trader is taking up a position, then he is putting up a 4-digit code on the paper, actually on the Reuters, and Reuters will let you know that this trade is actually being put up by Standard Chartered Singapore and the code is this, actually. Then there is a system, and that third class system is known as TMS, Treasury Management System. I call this as a third class because I know one thing, that current treasury management systems are not equipped as far as the interbank desk is concerned. They are makeshift products. Like Mr. Steve Jobs always used to call one very good thing when he comes to have meetings of the product development and everything. Mr. Steve Jobs used to call that, I am not in the Apple, or Apple is not here for a Me Too product. Apple is here to make a product which matters. So this treasury management system, current ever, I am not quoting the name of any vendor, but you know the name of the vendor, and they are Me Too product. They are not designed for the interbank desk, and that is the reason why even after implementation of the treasury management systems in the market, these treasury management systems are not being able to resolve the problem of the people. They're not being able to resolve the problem of the treasury domain. Then comes, now this treasury management systems is actually computing one thing which is known as mark to market. We know that mark to market is of 3 types, and 4th level mark to market is coming. The 3 level mark to market is L1, MTM L1 mark to market, L2 mark to matrix, L3 mark to model, and L4, which is coming in 2023, I think 23, yes, October 23, which is mark to margin model. As we know that we are entering into the IM, which is initial margin model, so similarly there are a lot of changes which are happening, but apparently speaking, we have L1 mark to market, L2 mark to model, L3 mark to matrix, mark to model, and mark to margin model. Forward contracts are generally M1, L1, and this is how. Now these every derivatives which they are taking, they all subject to have one thing. Since the board is small, they all subject to have one thing, which is known as credit structures. Behind every derivative there is a credit structure. So bank never take naked position. That doesn't mean that bank never take naked position 100%. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. But most of the times they don't take the naked position. So these credit structures are of 2 types. Of course, I am not talking about CDS, not talking about single basket, multi-basket, single trigger, multi-trigger and everything. I am talking about gross up or net up. Then the biggest question is the XVA which is coming. There are 8 types of XVA which we have, and unfortunately the current BIS, Bank for International Settlement, Basel 3, and I call this Basel 3 revised. Oh, sorry, people call this Basel 3 revised. I call this as Basel 4. They are also not stringently telling that all XVAs are required. Then we have middle office, which is here. The big banks like Goldman Sachs and everyone, their middle office is actually divided into 3 parts, which is the functional middle office, the technological middle office, and the risk middle office. Now, functional middle office, we will make a separate video on that, which is functionally very competent: FRTB, BIS, Basel 3 revised, Basel 4, fundamental review of the trading book, MAS 610, PRA 110, and number of that. On the contrary, the technological middle office will look after about what is coming out of the system, which includes the so-called third class product like treasury management systems and ERPs. Then we have NOP, net overnight position. then we have an OOP, net overnight open position, then everything at the end up here. Report to ALCO, which is Asset and Liability Committee. I request people to go to Netflix, and if it's possible to download the movie. I'm not telling to violate any norm of Netflix if it is possible. So, or if not, then see a movie margin call. Look at the movie margin call and see that how ALCO, Asset and Liability Committee of the bank, is actually responsible for the entire fallout happened in 2008. It is those who not did their job in the right way, and at the end what happened is a complete mess. And 2008 can clearly be seen as a complete mess. So this entire thing, which is deliverable, non-deliverable, squaring of the position, the credit structures, the XVA, the NOP, the accounting, then NOOP, the mark-to-markets, the type of the traders, the sub-traders, everything being reported on a periodic basis or sometimes daily basis to an entity whose name is known as ALCO, which is known as Asset and Liability Committee. Now, before winding up this video, this deliverable desk will always in touch with the non-deliverable desk of that bank. Since I have kept G7, JP Morgan, Standard Chartered, Goldman, HSBC, ANZ, Westpac, Barclays, UBS, Deutsche, the list is very long, the time is small, they all have non-deliverable desk in place. And few important non-deliverable desks which I have quoted, which is Singapore non-deliverable desk, European non-deliverable desk, Latin American non-deliverable desk, United States non-deliverable desk, which is further divided into two parts. One is East Coast and one is West Coast. Because US have, I might be wrong, limited knowledge suggests that they have 6 time zones in place, maybe more than that, I don't know. But some people told me at a point of time that US is having 6 time zones in place. That's surprising. So this is all about the they will pass their positions, if not fill or deliberately the trading positions to the non-deliverable desk, and non-deliverable desk is a competent authority. Non-deliverable desk sometimes more competent authority than the deliverable when it comes to FX, options, IRS and energy. They are more competent authority when it comes to deliverable. That is the reason why the group of 7 banks, Goldman, Standard Chartered, UBS and all, they always thrives. Why they thrives? Because they know they have non-deliverable in place. If Facebook, who is putting up an export position in options and the mark-to-market is coming negative, assuming that mark-to-market would be hedged by a non-deliverable desk. How? We will explain later. We are here to give you the holistic understanding of how exactly the interbank desk work. This is all about what we wanted to tell you, how the interbank desk work. With this, we thank you very much. But before winding the video, we have few questions. As you know, that Treasury I worked as I was a treasurer, and a lot of banks are in touch. They have asked few questions from us. Some have said to mention their names, so we are quoting the names. Some have said not to mention their names, we are not quoting their names. We go as per the requirement. So the first question which we have is, are all banks having same interbank architecture? This question is being raised by Komal from BNP Paribas, India. No. This G7 architecture which I have mentioned, only few banks can afford that. Goldman, Chase, Standard Chartered, UBS, HSBC, Barclays, ANZ, Westpac, all 4 of our side, Westpac, National Bank of Australia, Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Holistically, if I make a list of top 500 banks of the globe, maximum 25 to 30 banks. Top 25 to 30 can afford that. Most of the banks in the world even do not have this, which is the non-deliverable. They do not have this. Reason? Leadership. Don't come to me for that. Okay. Goldman, Blankfin make Goldman as Goldman. Why not SBI? Tell me. Yes Bank, ICICI, the list is centered. The list is very long. Second question which we come from Jaideep, JP Morgan Chase India. Are interbank desks heavily reliant on the non-deliverable desk, specifically when the non-deliverable is based out Hong Kong and Singapore? Absolutely right. One of the reasons why Goldman Sachs, UBS, JP Morgan Chase, the US Bank turned so successful, and the Treasury Consulting Bank also, once we would be reality in 2024, is that they have kept non-deliverable very strong. Very strong. And that has to be. Since they kept it very strong, the end result, they never lost it. They always won it. While we talk about a lot of banks in the worldwide like Santander, and there are a lot of European banks, the Latin American banks, the Brazilian banks, they even do not know how interbank works. They do not know how non-deliverable works. All these top 25, 30 banks which I mentioned, they have very strong non-deliverable presence in Singapore and Hong Kong both. And when I say non-deliverable presence, please don't think like an Indian or like an RBI, okay? Non-deliverable means non-deliverable forward, non-deliverable option, swap, OIS, IRS, callable, and the list is pretty long. We're going to have separate video in that regards. Third question is raised by Rohit from UBS. He's from the back office UBS. Are traders not aware about the glitches in TMS? You have raised a very sensible question which I am always raising, and people are before me, you know. Yes, this person I called is Mr. X. I don't know the name. I neither wanted to give any name, though I know a lot of names. He is expert in FX. He is expert in mark to market. He is expert in implied volatility, realized volatility, historical volatility, implied vols, options, everything. You expect him to be an expert in TMS? Please, definitely not. Do you expect that, I wanted to ask this question from Rohit, that do you expect that every driver of the car knows how actually engine works? How many drivers you know in the worldwide, those who know in and out how engine works? And how many drivers you know worldwide, those who know how driving works? Give me the ratio. Fourth question we got from Weber, from my favorite bank, GS India. Are B schools teaching those concepts? You know the answer. Can I have one B school, including Harvard, Stanford, Kellogg, and forget Indian B schools like IIM, IIT? Tell me one B school who is teaching this. But don't worry, in 2020, our MBA program is coming and we teach this. Live voters in Bloomberg, don't worry. Fifth is by Rahul. My name, he is from Bank of America. His question is the Goldman Sachs seriously number one when it comes to interbank trade? Pause. Forget seriously. They are damn good in interbank. No one in this world I know except GS who is damn good in interbank. The way they hit the interbank trades, no one. They are the champions of interbank. And the only problem which they have is that they need to carry that legacy in the future. Because legacies are not easy to make. It requires generation. But to carry forward this legacy, you require more generation. So they reached at that level and now they need to take this further. And that requires an effort. So they made the legacy, but now they need to keep this legacy forward. And I have best wishes for them. The fifth is by Nitin, Bank of America. Again, Bank of America. Why banks, sorry, it's not Indian, question is not Indian. Why banks losing in the interbank position? See, it's trading, right? You don't know and you're not the market maker. So example, 26 June 2016, right? You don't know, majority of the people worldwide never thought that Brexit would happen. I did thought that's a different thing. Majority never thought about that. And I still remember the GBP, which was roughly 1.41 and it has reduced to 1.26 something, roughly 13, 14 big figures difference. So it is trading, right? It happens. Now the moral of the story is that the losses are actually a little bit cheaper for them, with your permission, that lose should not say that. the ideal question should be that how capable are the banks in case the trade went wrong? In case the trade went wrong, to cover this. Now here they are very capable, I am sure. They are pretty best. They know that how to cover this trade in the interbank market. That they know. And the fifth question is by, sorry, it's a seventh question, is by Rachna HSBC. Why we need to make bank middle office strong? I wanted to ask a question, Rachna ji. Why do you think we should not have a strong middle office? You tell me. Don't you think that the middle office is the backbone? Like every human brain, every human body is having three different, although every part is very essential, I'm not demeaning that, but brain, backbone, and your basically your stamina and everything, these few important things are very, very important. Now if your backbone is not working but the brain is working excellent, make no sense. If backbone is very strong, you're able to lift 100 kg of weight but brain is not working, make no sense. You need everything, right? Middle office are getting very important, and one of the reasons behind the success of G7 banks worldwide is the middle office. In fact, without quoting the name of the bank in the public domain, we know that the back office is now going away and it is being replaced by the risk office, and they have started working in that regards. And I'm not quoting the name of that bank. What they have actually did now is that they have integrated the risk office. They said, why to create a separate office? I am in alignment. Why to make a separate office? Rather, what we do, we will align with the middle office. Absolutely right thinking. Thank you. So it is required. Question number 8. What is the role of ERP in the interbank position? This question is asked by somebody who don't wanted to claim his name, and he is from ANZ, India. Well, ERP do not play any role in the interbank. There hardly any role in play in the interbank. They are just like a placeholder. In ERP there is a term called placeholder. They are a placeholder wherein you just put the data. It doesn't matter whether this data is right, wrong, whatever. ERPs generally do not. Yes, one point which you rightly raised is that if the TMS integration is done rightfully, right, and you create a data marts in the system, and you created a data mart, and that data mart is letting you know that how to effect. Example today, just to elaborate your question, to elaborate my answer, there is a ratio which banks maintain, which ratio is known as the interbank hit ratio. You are getting the trade now after how many seconds you hit it in the interbank? 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. They count that. Actually, they count that. If the TMS has rightly been configured and it is being integrated with the ERP, which looks easy but not the case, then there is something which comes which is known as the data mart. Here ERP plays a role, but that is not the scene, because the big banks like GS, Chase, HSBC and all, they have their own proprietary systems in place. So they really not much worried about that. Sixth question is being raised by my favorite bank, Goldman London, and there is a question that how Treasury Consulting Interbank desk would be and what are the various factors you consider while devising your interbank when you turn out to be the bank. I would like to thank you Goldman Sachs before that, because they are not my friends, more than that, to be honest. And I would like to tell Goldman that Treasury Consulting Interbank is having several parameters in place, and amendable parameters by the time I am alive. After me, sorry. The first parameter would be the size. Second is the scale. Third is the type of derivatives. Fourth is the XVA. I assure you that Treasury Consulting Bank cover all XVAs. All XVAs. Fifth, the role of front office in the board meetings. We would be the only bank in the world who allow the front office people, the hardcore traders, Mr. X, Y, P, Q, whatever name you give, doesn't make a difference to them. They will sit in our board meetings and they will decide how the ALCO would move. Our asset and liability committee will not have the people from Harvard, Stanford, Kellogg, say Oxford, IIM, IIT. No. Our ALCO would have the people, those who actually sit next to Reuters, next to Bloomberg, next to FX Sol, next to Integral FX, ECNs, Electronic Communication Networks, EMSX, Bloomberg. We will have people in our ALCO, those who are traders. We never have the people in our ALCO, those who actually from the so-called top universities and having no knowledge. That I assure you, Robin. I assure you to keep the legacy of Blankfin forward and the legacy of Steve Jobs forward, that we continue to be a product company. We will never make a Me Too product, okay? We never make a Me Too product. Since July 2016, Treasury Consulting never worried about the feedback of the people, and we never been involved in the Me Too product. With this, Treasury Consulting would like to thank you very much, and would like to ask one question from everybody out here. Just one question. One question. Name one book published in India, US, Singapore, Hong Kong, whatever countries you are, where you domicile. Plus, name one course, CFA, GRP, FRM, CA course, company secretary, and multiple course, who give you the holistic understanding of what we give you now. If you are able to show me the book, or if you are able to show me the course, you are entitled for a very good price from our side. And I would like to let all banks know once again that, boss, in the next 3 years, neither you sleep nor I sleep. Let's have a night outs for next 3 years. With this, Treasury Consulting would like to thank you very much for sparing the time, and I think this is the longest video I have ever shooted. And you know my mobile number, 919899242978. You know again, 919899242978. And don't forget to visit our fixed income platform, www.fixedincome.global. With this, we thank you very much, with a notion that so many things on the cards. So many things on the cards that in the next 3 years, you will say to us which one to choose and which one to know, which one to choose and which one to ignore. With this, we say goodbye to you, and next time we'll see you how the VC speaks work. Have a good time. See you soon. Thank you.